Today marks 28 years since Hurricane Opal left its mark. At landfall near Pensacola, Opal was a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 115 miles per hour. The storm killed 9 people on the U.S. mainland, with one of those killed by a tornado spawned in Crestview, Florida. Winds destroyed and damaged homes, and tens of thousands had no electricity for days. News 4's Ken Curtis covered Hurricane Opal in 1995. He joins us now. Ken, describe some of your vivid memories of this storm.
I could tell you what I remember best about that storm. We thought it would be worse here than what it was. The Dothan area, southeast Alabama and southwest Georgia, we had damage, but we escaped the brunt of that storm. It could have been a lot worse. The other thing I remember, when compared to the previous hurricane to amount to anything before that, that was 1975's Hurricane Eloise, I remember how quickly power was restored. Technology had advanced much in that 20 years. After Eloise, power was out in the Dothan area for up to 2 weeks. After Opal, most of it had been restored in just a couple of days.
Very interesting. So, Ken, I have another question, or really just a statement. You know, Opal was one of the worst October storms to impact us until Hurricane Michael 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was an October storm. Now, we remember Katrina, but that was several weeks earlier in the hurricane season. But Hurricane Michael, of course, did more damage than we ever fathomed, especially in the Florida Panhandle. Mexico Beach essentially wiped out eastern parts of Houston County, southwest Georgia. Here's the thing I remember most. Not during the hurricane, but in the hours preceding the hurricane. And this is what I think Michael was a Category 2 or a Cat 3. I remember sitting in the conference room in a planning session, and I remember David Paul walking in, and forever etched in my mind the look on his face when he said, "It's going to be bad."
Yes.
And it was.
It was. It was definitely a day that you will never forget. I'm sure that the Wiregrass will never forget, and our chief meteorologist, David Paul, will never forget. Ken, thank you so much. Well, there is one storm brewing this evening. Tropical storm Philippe is moving northward and could impact the Northeast this week. Philippe knocked out roads and closed schools in the Caribbean. An Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft captured this footage you see on your screen right now inside of Philippe. Let's bring in our in-house expert, forewarned Chief Meteorologist David Paul, to talk about October hurricanes. So, David, though the majority of hurricane season is behind us, we're not out of the woods just yet.
No, we can still see storms this time of year. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. And you look back to what happened in 2018 with Hurricane Michael, and Ken, sum that up. That was really one of those storms where you look at it unfolding and it was like, wow, this is really going to be bad. And that was certainly a huge storm for our area. But thankfully this year it is nice and quiet. We could use some rainfall, but if I never see a storm like Hurricane Michael again in my lifetime, my career, I'll be fine with that.